endangered.
Oh, it's in danger.
Yeah.
I mean, you got around 9,000 people registered, enrolled in Menominee, and you got 7, 8 speakers, fluent speakers, first language speakers left. I would say it's endangered. Yeah. And with them go that knowledge. I mean, you could put a bunch of worksheets together, and you could do this and then, but what do you learn from that? You know, so it's from the elders that when you would try to define a word that my one uncle was just all the time. It was like a 1-hour lecture just for one word. You know what it meant, how you use it, and you could say this, you can change that. It's just because the word of Menominee could be used so many different ways. You know, so it's totally endangered. I mean, we're calling the days now. We have a couple young people, and I say young because they're younger than me. One is about 30 years old, and he's really, really good. I mean, I call him fluent because he can converse. He doesn't have to speak any English, you know, and I really enjoy it. When he comes up to me and talks to me, and I can understand most of what he's saying. There's a couple other young people that have taken the language, and there's one teacher up in Napos that's learned it as a second language, is getting really good at it, you know. And so that to me is hope. And the young man mostly I was talking about, he's raising his daughter in the language. And we even kind of say, well, you know, and our kids are related here because we're related. I said they might meet some time in school and they may be talking to each other, you know, which is cool to think about, you know. And so that's a motivation, but to me, that's a hope. You know, it's a hope that they continue on. And now I hear kids, and we're even devising some type of little symbol that, be it a necklace or something, that sits there and identify me as a language learner, a language speaker. That they can see me, they can talk to me. Because sometimes we still face that where people are still shy about the language. I mean, even like saying post hole, you know. I mean, there are people that will kind of like, you know. And I grew up with that kind of too, where back in the day, I mean, and I would do greetings and stuff, and people, oh, we don't need to talk like that, you know, it's no good at it, you know. And so, to me, it's that hope of the language, because it is in danger. I mean, it's recognized too as being in danger. Even in our own Menominee, there's a story, and I've heard it a few times about, there's a rock up there, when that rock disappears, they say there'll be no more Menominee. And I mean, you can put that on a physically a people, but when I look at it, I see language. I see that language, you know, because it's almost there. There's quite a few Menominee. I mean, we say we're mixed, you know, with different tribes and even European people. You know, like I got French English blood in me, but you know, if you really look at it, to me, is that language. It's that language. It's going to change, you know, and the renewal of that language. Well, we identify the land through the language. And so there are a lot of things you could say that are, you know, that if you took that word apart, you could really understand the identity of what you're saying about the land through the language. You know, metik's a tree, but it means more than that. You know, there's a lot of things. Aki, which means the earth, but it means more than that. If you really, really get down into the phonetic sounds and understanding what they call a stem word of a word, and the root is really identifying what you're talking about. And so Menominee language is really descriptive, and it's what they call a verse-based language. And so when you say something, you know, there's a really identity to it, and it's that identity of the land. So it's beyond word. You know, it's thought, and my uncle always say it's spiritual. Because that's where we got the language from. And so he would give me them thoughts. And I believe that because I grew up in that time when I remember a lot of them old guys would talk that way. And they were careful too back in the day. I mean, like now, people talk spiritual or religious casual. You know, back in the old days, the old men would shake their head about that here. There was a place to talk about that. And so even when people come over and they want to tap my mind for some of the things that I knew and I've learned along the way, I tell them, oh, there's a certain thing we got to do for that, you know, because that's being respectful. That's still identifying that spirit of the land or spirit of the tree, you know, the spirit of the old ones that went, you know, we've got to be respectful about that. And so that language is connected to the land is connected to the language, because that's the culture. And you can't separate them, you know. I mean, I imagine, I don't think our words would work out on the plains. You know, it would be totally different. And the same there.
Yeah, right.
You know, and in fact, one of my adopted elders, he's from the plains. He's a Napos. And he says it all the time. And a couple of times I'd say, you know, how would you describe that? He says, I can't. You know, because it's not on the plains. So he taught me that, you know, and that's, you know, I guess one of the things I learned was about how the language is connected with the land, you know.
I've heard
I'd probably say that. Yeah, you never know. You know, it goes back to those stories. Menominee people, we were put here. We were never anywhere else. We didn't come across that Bering Strait. We were put here. And of course, science is always trying to prove us wrong, but you know, so far they agree at least 15,000 years. Okay, maybe more. Because there's these really old stories that we know about certain things, and how we know that the people weren't here. You know, about the snow and the depth of the snow, and the old stories about some of them old animals that were here, and have names for them. You know, and so it's a direct connection to the land, which makes up the culture and the identity of who we are. I mean, even Kayas Machitalok, the ancient ones, that describes it right there. You know, who we are. You know, and but there's always someone trying to prove that otherwise. You know, so connecting with the land, talking about it, and you know where it came from, and stories of how it was given. You know, that's the way I always believe that. You know, I mean, even when I talk to other, I don't know, scientists or what you want to call them, and we talk about that, you know, coming from over there, and I said, I don't see that. You know, and I said what I really believe. I said I really believe that, you know, in the Creator. I really believe that with the diversity that's around this whole world, I don't think there was one creation. It couldn't have been. I mean, it's nonsense. Yeah, you can go dig up a bunch of bones and, you know, look at a monkey, how close it is. Well, that's a being, you know, that's not an animal, it's a being. And so to me, I sit there and say, you know, there's got to be more than one creation. I mean, look how many different races there are, different people. I mean, you know, so it's like, to me, it's like, and I'm always really interested, so I watch as much as I can about that, you know, and I hear them almost go there, but then they'll, like, you know, I mean, they don't want to upset somebody, you know. Yeah. And I teach a class called they term it as American Indian Tribal Religion, you know, but I call it Native Belief, and so I always have students in there that are highly Christian, and I don't challenge them on their Christianity, but I make them think about it, you know. And a lot of them come out of my class and say that, you know, you really made me think. I said, that's what it's about. I said, I got my way, I got my belief, you got yours, and I respect that. I said, but here's what I see with it, you know. And I learn myself from them. When I talk about things, I learn about this, I learn about that, I learn about their religion, where it came from. It's really amazing. But the funniest thing I get out of that is, why don't they really understand it? You know, and that's what gets me.